So, what do you want to explore in terms of content?
The students will be exploring new characters, new vocabulary, and setting throughout the their leveled book.
Okay. So, new characters, new setting, and new vocabulary
Yes.
in these books. Okay. And what about the pedagogy? What are you going to do?
So I will be using a 4-section chart just on a piece of paper, and it will have, I guess it would have 3 sections, but it'll have the characters, vocab, and setting in each, and as the readers in the group aren't reading at the time will be writing down words that they recognize or new characters and new settings.
Okay. Good. And how do you envision the lesson unfolding? What will you do at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end?
So at first, I will ask the students what they previously read the day before as a little refresher, and ask them, what do we need to recognize in stories and to be able to successfully comprehend a passage. And then I will have them fold a piece of paper into 4s, and that way I guess I can have an extra section just in case I think of something else as we're reading. I'll have the students fold their paper into 4s, and I will have them write characters, setting, and new vocabulary and underline it as a writing tool or in a note-taking tool. And then we will begin reading, and by reading, I will have them pick a Disney movie, and then we will pick Disney characters from that movie, and then they will each have a character. So that's how they will figure out. We'll draw names and figure out who will be reading for that page, and then each student will read for at least 1 page.
Okay, to read for the order. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and then last, how do you see the end?
And then the end, afterwards, we'll go through the new vocabulary, and we will look up any words that we didn't know in the dictionary and write them next to those words. We will talk about each character. We'll talk about the different settings and how the settings have changed and if they changed. And then do a little review of what we read afterwards.
Okay, just write down a little more. What was the last thing you said? You said setting changes, discuss the character setting changes,
and then just review the whole chapter as a comprehension.
Review comprehension. Okay. Okay. And then, when the lesson is enacted, what do you want your learners to walk away knowing and thinking, and how will you know that they know it?
I want them to feel comfortable pulling out words that they don't know, because I feel like a lot of the students skip over those words, and it's almost like scary. Mm-hmm. So noticing new vocabulary and feeling confident in looking it up in the dictionary so they know what it means for next time. And I want them to realize that setting changes throughout a story, especially the chapter books. Your settings aren't always going to be the same. And to even notice that time of day, the different types of settings, not just where something takes place, but when and what's happening. And then I want them to recognize when the different characters come in a story, because characters come in for a certain reason, and I feel like being able to recognize new characters and not just passing over them will give reading a purpose.
Okay, so here's what I heard from you.
Okay.
The content you want to explore is you want them to recognize new characters, new vocab words, and the settings in the books they're going to read today. the pedagogy you're going to use is you're going to have a 3-section chart, and each of those 3 new content, the 3 content things you want to explore are going to be in that chart, and they're going to write while they're reading in each of those sections. You envision the lesson unfolding as you're going to start by asking the students, talking about previous reading material and connecting to the other stories they've read, and ask for understanding of those 3 things. Do they understand how to write down the new characters and the new vocab and the settings of the book, just talking about relating it to the other things they've done. Then you're going to have them fold a piece of paper into fours and write the content, your new characters, your content of new characters, vocab, and settings into those 4 boxes. And as they begin reading, you would like them to, before they begin reading, you'd like them to pick a movie character so that they know what order they're reading in. And then as they begin reading, they're going to take notes on that chart.
Yeah, so when they're reading, sometimes we roll dice, or sometimes we do something different each time. Mm-hmm. So I will write the name of the characters on pieces of paper, we'll fold them up, and then they'll pull the name. So that makes more sense. Yeah. So they'll pick a name, and then they'll know their character.
Okay.
So that's how they'll recognize, just to do something else different, to mix it up.
No, that makes sense. And then at the end of the lesson, you are going to review the vocabulary and that they didn't know, the unknown vocabulary that they pulled out. They're going to look up, or together you're going to look up any unknown words and talk about those. You're going to discuss the characters that they wrote down, any setting changes or subtle shifts in the settings. And then you're going to review at the end, do a whole overview of what they read for comprehension to ensure they are comprehending what they're reading.
Yes.
And then for your enacting, I heard that you would like them to feel comfortable pulling out those unknown words and looking them up and be confident in that that's okay to do. You would like them to recognize the setting changes and the subtle shifts in the setting, like day and night, and just how those differences relate to the story. And you'd like them to recognize the purpose of the characters. Those new characters, why do they come in? What are they doing? Why are they there? And why they're important to the story. And then just overall comprehension. You'd like them to comprehend what they're reading and understand what all the new characters, the vocab, and the setting all have to do with the whole story.
Yes.
All right. Good luck.